spirit here. I thought today we might enjoy some tea, burn some sage, and essentially get some more information. So, I've been asked a lot because I've done this. What is Kambo and how does it affect you? Well, I think it's time I share my experience with Kambo and exactly what the tree frog of the Amazon did for me. So I got my tea going, I got some sage burning. I'm just going to add some San Paulo to that as well, just to clear the space as I talk about this, just to give you guys some good ritual vibes as well. Just kind of bless the space we're in, the sacred space, safe space. Beautiful. Alright, so I've done this, and I get asked often only because it's not visible anymore as much, but I did have some scars going down my arm, and when going in the grocery store, just summertime at the beach, I used to get asked, like, did somebody burn you? Yes, and technically no. Well, I mean, yes, somebody did burn me, and yes, I did want it, but, I mean, it's more of a medicine. I didn't really see it as something just burning into my skin. So, the question came up a lot, especially after posting a couple of pictures after the ceremony. What is Kambo? Well, Kambo is actually a bright green tree frog, also known as sapo, and it's native to the Amazon forest, which I think is pretty cool. It has a lot of treatments that help with depression, chronic pain, a couple different illnesses. If you look it up, there's a list of things. It has preventatives for cancer, helps with, you know, diseases within the body that have just been sitting there for a while. And so I decided I would take up on this journey. I'll insert a couple clips so you guys can see some of the effects of my body and some of the changes I went through. But I'll be explaining exactly what Kambo was and what it did on me. Kambo. Do they take the tree frog? How does this work? Basically, it is a secretion from this tree frog that a shaman will extract or get, usually from the Amazon, as they're not indigenous to Canada or the area that I'm in. And you go to a ceremony of some kind that's usually done during ayahuasca ceremonies. In this case, I ended up finding it just by itself, and it was something I really, really wanted to do. And so essentially what happens is, in the ceremony, you have to prep, and they make sure that you are prepped beforehand. When I mean prepped, I mean not just drinking a little bit of water. It's a lot like ayahuasca, where you have to drink like 1 liter to 2 liters, and I didn't know this going into the ceremony because it was more like a last minute thing for me, but you were actually supposed to prep a week in advance to go do this, and constantly drinking water, and I completely understand why. When I got there, they handed me a huge bottle of water and they said drink. Me not being prepared, it was so hard to down 2 liters of water with like an hour to go basically before the actual ceremony was supposed to take place. But I decided it was something I wanted to do, so I went ahead and I did it anyway. I'm here, I'm chugging 2 liters of water, trying so hard not to pee my pants, knowing that it's all going to need to come back up. That's the whole premise of this ceremony, is a purging and a detoxification of the system, the mind, body, and soul. So, why did I do this? Good question. Why did I do this? Once I explain the ceremony, a lot of people ask the why did I do this? I did Kambo because after learning about it, mind you, I wouldn't tell anybody to go do these ceremonies without having full knowledge of what is going to happen to you, because it could be scary if you don't have prior knowledge. I'm just being 1000% honest. I did lots of research, and what I experienced was nowhere what they tell you in videos. So, the why. Why did I do it? I knew I needed to make a couple changes in my life, and after going through my spiritual awakening for quite some time, I've been on that process for about 4 years now, there were certain things in my life that really didn't serve me, and I understood that Kambo was a way to release those things, almost like a clean slate. And I knew that I could change the outside, but the outside didn't matter if it didn't match the way I felt on the inside. So what did I decide to do? I decided to start inside out. I changed a lot of things about my life over the past couple years, leaving an abusive relationship, saying goodbye to toxic people, saying goodbye to toxic family, essentially, too. And what I noticed the most is that I kept coming back to certain things, and I just couldn't let them go. So Kambo was actually a way for me to release those things, not just in my body, but in my mind as well. I mean, think about it. It's like a cigarette addiction, right? You try so hard, and you think, okay, this time I got this. I really, really got this. But your body starts craving it. And I've noticed when people quit cigarettes, you know, they might clench their hand, or they go ahead and they like put a pen in their mouth, and it's just a symbolic habit for them. I noticed a lot of my toxins in my life were habits that I had made over 7, 10, 12 years that I just weren't serving me anymore, and I just needed to let them go. So that's exactly the why. Now let's talk about the ceremony, because now you understand why, but a lot of people don't discuss the ceremony. So I decide I'm gonna go do this Kambo ceremony. I show up at this place, and it was a private ceremony. I show up, and the room is filled with individuals who are as well going to go through this ceremony. And I knew that the shaman was going to come around. They were going to talk to you for a little bit, go ahead and place the Kambo on your body. And I just had various things that I knew were going to happen. You know, I was going to get really hot, I might get really sweaty, and then obviously the purge. Don't even want to think about it. But it was so much more than that. So I'll tell you what happened with my personal experience. The ceremony was beautiful, disturbing, hard to handle, and that's just my personal experience. So I was the last person to get my Kambo, and I was watching the shaman go around the circle, and we all had our own mats. We were told to get comfortable, to wear comfortable clothes, to have our water right beside us, and the shaman had assistants who gave out buckets to everybody, almost like a small garbage pail. It was just to contain our purging, pretty much, so we weren't spewing all over the floor. And there was only one bathroom, mind you. So when they said you might shit yourself, I was a little worried. I'm just saying. Granted, didn't shit myself. That's awesome. But the amount of physical requirement for it and concentration, you really have to go inward. And I would suggest before doing this ceremony, meditate. If you have never meditated before, by all means, I praise my hands up to the God. Meditate, okay? Because that was so hard, actually, to hear other people going through their experiences and having to focus on my inner issues and things that I wanted to release. So the shaman's assistants give everybody a bucket. They tell everybody to get on your mat, get super comfortable, have your own space, and visualize and focus on the things that you want to get rid of. Okay, sounds great. I got it. I'm focused. Let's do this. Then a couple people were administered the Kambo, and one of the ladies, she had a drum. She was a shaman assistant, and she was about to start drumming, and she looked at me, and I don't know if I looked terrified or what, but she said, "Don't worry. Sometimes people make the sound of the frog, the sapo spirit." Okay. She wasn't joking. I literally start hearing people ribbiting. Okay, so the Kambo starts getting administered to each person going around the circle, and I hear ribbits, like ribbit, ribbit. I can't even make the noise. I can't. It's just too hard. I can't even reenact it. They start making this ribbit noise, and out of nowhere, you just hear gags upon gags, and you hear coughing, and you hear choking, and I personally can't deal with hearing people vomit. That's just me. So for me, that was really hard, and I had to concentrate. I ended up putting both hands over my ears, and I didn't want to hear it. I just needed to focus on me and what I needed to let go. So the girl next to me goes, and I can just hear her like as he's like administering the medicine. And I have heavy anxiety, so let's say that I had heavy anxiety. That really dawned on me, like, what am I doing? Do I have enough information? Oh no. And I decided, you know what? You're here. You're going to do it. You're going to conquer it. You're going to be okay. All right. So he comes over to me and he says, well, the shaman doesn't say because he speaks Portuguese. He didn't speak English. His assistant said to me, you can have it on your arm or on your leg. Okay. The shaman starts talking and he goes, tell her she needs more. So the assistant translates that to me, and I go, what do you mean I need more? And essentially everybody got about 3 to 4 markings on their skin. I got 8. And the shaman decides how much medicine that you need. And he said there's a lot that she needs to release. It got to the point where the shaman actually wanted to put me in a completely different room than everybody else. I've always been an empath, but to hear other people going through such a trauma, it got to the point where the shaman asked the drummer to come in front of me and start drumming away, and she almost created like a barrier of music for me. And she started speaking to me. She spoke English, and she said that I needed to not focus on anybody else because I was going to purge for them. That blew my mind. Like, I'm here trying to focus on myself, and I'm just having a hard time. Like, nothing was coming up. The whole experience is supposed to last for about 45 minutes to an hour. Mine was 2 hours and 45 minutes. Everybody was pretty much leaving, and I was still going. So they take a piece of like wood almost, and they start burning it so you get the amber. From that, they burn that into your skin, going down. Start going up. And then they administer tiny, tiny, tiny little specks. They look like Vaseline, to be honest with you, of the Kambo. Instantly, it starts burning, okay? Burning. Like, I've had poison ivy all over my legs before. This burning, not even equivalent. Instantly, it starts burning, and I start getting, like, the sweats. Mind you, Kambo is not a hallucinogen. That is a huge myth. You're not going to see things. I didn't see anything while I was on Kambo. I didn't hallucinate. It's not a psychedelic. So I just felt my body getting so warm, and I really didn't know what to do. And I could just tell that people were having a hard time. There were some people weeping. There were some people crying. There were some people curdling up into a ball. There was lots of people purging. There was people making frog noises. And I just decided to focus in on what I really needed to release. And it really helped that the assistant came and she just started drumming beside me. This drumming, I believe, really created a barrier and a wall where I was able to separate myself from everybody else. But it wasn't until almost everybody was done their ceremony, had mine. So what happened was my body starts going through just this huge heat wave, and I was already wearing like a small tank top and tiny little booty shorts. I just start burning up, almost like I have the hottest fever ever. Everything in my body is sweating. My palms are sweating. The back of my knees are sweating. I have boob sweat. I have ass sweat. I have just, it's sweating everywhere. It's a sweat storm. And as she's drumming, I closed my eyes and I kept thinking to myself, I just want it gone. I'd experienced a lot of pain in my life, and I felt like I was carrying that with me, and I just said, please, please just take this away. Just let it out, let it come out, let it just go anywhere that it needs to go. And it did. Oh, it did. Let's sip some tea and I'll explain.